All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April meeting of the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. We've got some changes this morning. After the pledge, I will turn the meeting, go out of order here and turn the meeting over to you and talk about our changes to the audio system here in the facility. All I can tell you right now is when you speak, no matter where you're in the room, people are hearing you far and wide. So just keep that in mind. So with that, let's stand and face the flag and we'll pledge allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. All right, well, good morning, everyone. A lot of work and a lot of patience has gone in over the last several months to work on the audio challenges that we face here. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you. Pass the microphone down to you there.
I'll just go up there.
Okay, go up there, you. And kind of talk about what we've done here and kind of where we're at going forward with the system. So, Hugh, take it away.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I just want to fill you in on kind of what we got. If you look at the ceiling, you'll see a square box in the middle of the room here with a green light on it. There are microphones, a ton of them in that box. And those microphones pick up everything in this area that we're sitting in. So if you're over here telling a joke to your buddy, somebody at home is going to hear it. Okay, so I recommend you might not want to do that. Also, and so for the Zoom, everything is say you don't even actually need these to go out to home, but you do need these to be able to come back and hear me like you're hearing me in the room. I can't, if you, the speakers, there's other speakers in the ceiling, that's where this comes from. So this also goes out and comes back into the room. So these microphones, addition to that, will also go out and let people at home hear, but it also amplifies in the room. So like if somebody's speaking in the front and they use a microphone, you'll be able to hear them in the back and vice versa. So that's how it works. We kind of set the room up this way. These four cables, if you need to speak and use the microphone, you step up to that one. These four cables will use that one. These two cables will use that one. And you also have the option to come over here, and if you have something, use the podium. So this way we kind of have it set up today. As we work through this, you know, if there are other ideas and if we work through it, things will work better. The way we have things set up, we can always change it. But we're going to start this way. And if it's not loud enough, we have volume, we can turn stuff up. So just let us know if you have a problem hearing or there's an issue. So that's all I have, unless there's questions. Yeah.
When are the mics hot?
Mics, that mic is.
Do you start before the meeting?
No, when Ken says we're going live.
Where you go?
And it depends. Sometimes if you slip in a 20, you go live earlier.
No,
That's how that goes.
Just so everybody knows, so yeah, the Zoom, as you said, the Zoom virtual is directly connected into the whole system. I keep the meeting on mute until I actually announce the meeting started and you're here to record. So yeah, so you're safe until then. Not safe during the rest of the meeting, but and it is working very well. I mean, folks can again. All of this is picking up what you're all saying and going out virtually. As you said, so we have 6 of the microphones to help amplify the in-room audio. As you said, it's a bit of a work in progress. We want to see how this works. We stopped at 6 microphones because they're like $1,200. These are Amazon. They're about $1,200 a piece. And so we want to now be somewhat surgical about if we add to it, how we do that. The system was about $32,000. Then here's what we've done, and I really sincerely thank our partners here at the American Legion because we just signed a new 3-year lease for the use of the hall. And that is now a rent-free lease for the next 3 years. And so that's a $6,600 value that the Legion is providing back to us as their contribution as part of the system, because they have struggled with the same audio issues here that we have, but for much longer than us. And so they're very excited to be doing that as well. And so we're super happy, thanks to Rebecca and Laura Lee, the Legion commander here, who's done a lot of work with her. They've been out. We had a little false start last week when the system was in place, and then the $6,000 receiver or system, the key component, it broke. So Hugh was out here. We got here yesterday in the morning, getting it all put back online again. So as you said, we want your feedback, see how this works. It is a little bit cumbersome, I know, still with microphones. For amplifying the in-room audio, you will definitely need to speak into a microphone. So whether it works best, come up there and speak, or they can be taken off the stands and handed around. I think we want to know what works best for the flow. And then the main speakers up here will be sharing a microphone, so hopefully we'll be able to minimize some of that. So yeah, any other questions?
Just one last thing, just so everybody know, I just turned them all on. So they're on. You don't need to turn them on or off. You need to speak something, just step up to the microphone. You need to speak into the microphone. I mean, no matter how much you pay, you still use them.
Yeah. So yes, Hugh's caviar appetite is killing us. So we've got to try to stop the cost a little bit here, but no, we really want it to be right. So the feedback. So and I think Janet has commented.
We also want to thank our friends at CAL FIRE who allowed us to do a grant amendment, which also funded about $3,500 of this project. So
Sorry, Patrick, I almost forgot to thank the bread and butter. Yeah, that was bad. All right. So next on our list, consent calendar, item 4, board action item. All those that should have on the board have received the board meeting packet, which the consent calendar includes the meeting agenda and board meeting minutes from last month's meeting. Any comments, corrections on either of those documents? Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Consent calendar approved as presented. We have no new business or old business today, but we have a lot of other informational items as we get to that. So starting with the chair's report, I think I'll weigh in on a couple of other things later as folks are presenting that I definitely want to share thoughts on and weigh in. So I'll defer my comments for now and refer to Vice Chair Dorothy.
Okay, so the vice chair's report has to do with the website, and for once, I'm not saying
Closer.
for once, I'm not saying that the website goes live tomorrow. And I know that it's the applause for that. Just as a brief history as to remind us, why did we update or go to a different company? It was because our old web system was outdated and it's not user friendly. The big piece is it's not ADA compliant. Title II changed last April 24th, 2024, and that any nonprofits that are state and local funded, which we are, have to be ADA compliant, and now we will be. And we had no indemnification coverage also, which we do have now. The configuration of the website, the biggest piece needed to be unraveled because it was uniquely set up. That's how I would put that. And we still got some free benefits out of the company that we're using for the Associate Fire State Councils. So Streamline has not offered everything that we had hoped in a website, but it definitely checked off most of the boxes and gave us a good price at this point. One of the learning lessons that we've learned is technology these days is very expensive, and there's a lot of different components that go with it. Anyway, tomorrow, we will still, as it goes live, we'll still use the edcfiresafe.org. So it's the same address, everything. Just type that in and it will go to our new website. Streamline maintains the content and the domain. Remember too, we're still looking to see who will manage our application programs, because that's not something they will do. We will find another, we're in the process of researching a company that will design our applications so that they are far more efficient and user friendly. And they'll also be combined with Streamline. There'll be collaborative system in there. Our fire safe, for the fire safe councils, you get they do not, you will get a free web page. What does that mean? It's not just like a piece of paper web page. It's a page, and then you can scroll down and add as much to it as you want. I'm sending out an email tomorrow that shows, for those of you that want to, and I look over to Alice because she's one of the fastest ones at jumping on website information, and thank you, Alice. To sign up to work with a website trainer to teach you how, and will set up your web page. So be thinking how you want it designed. Once you get it designed, if you go, oh wow, it needs a different layout, or I want another logo or this and that, we can always change it. Our website is a living document, and we will be adding and changing along the way. So that's the one really neat thing. And it's a drop and drag. Yes.
Content that we had on our previous site, today's site, will that be ported over or not?
Thank you for that question. Perfect. So everything that we had on our old website as of September 2024 was migrated over to the new website. Anything since then, unfortunately, I love to Carrie because she's been the one that's posting things on the old website. Those things will need to be added in. Now, it may not have the layout you want. So once it goes live, go into your website, your Fire Safe Council website. It's still linked up at the top. There's different tabs. We definitely changed the layout to this. Go to your Fire Safe Council and see what you see, and then how you want it laid out, how you want to add to it, at least the starting point. At this point, set up a time. There's a link on the email that I will send that you can set up a training time, and it will probably be with Lindsay, with somebody, at least for Streamline, and then they'll walk you through the redesign on your website. So once we realize that, okay, well, I want to make some changes or this and that, we'll be working, whether if it's a big change, we're going to have you go ahead and work with Streamline. It's a matter of just setting up a ticket, and they will work with you to make your changes on your website. The other piece is if there's things that we want posted on our website, we will at this point start with send that information to me or to Carrie, and then we will get that information posted on the website. It's kind of like the amplification system here. It's a work in progress as the room design. Our website still, we've designed it. Now we want to use it and see what works best and what we need to add to it. So if that makes any sense. So if you have any questions, though, please feel free to direct them to me. At the vice chair position, let's see. The other thing is your fire safe councils. So if you have your own website, you're using a current website, that will also be linked in. The challenge with that is you have to make sure, and I should have been out with this a while ago, it didn't dawn on me, you have to be ADA compliant. And not all website designers and or people that manage your website keep your websites ADA compliant, but they have to be. So know that if you're using the web page through our site, the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, it's all ADA compliant, will be maintained that way. And the website has extension capabilities. So obviously we've learned that it's more expensive. There were a lot of steps that we still will be working to get an email tomorrow that will give some information. If you still have questions, please reach out to me. Link to the schedule there for the website design. And the other piece is we need to say some thank yous, big thank yous, starting with Paul Gilchrist. He helped with the design, and Jessica. We did the designing and pulling of information. But I've also worked with, we work with the software company. But then there's also special thanks to Alice who gave a ton of information, and that's been appreciated, and it's in there. And Elizabeth, same as with the home hardening, home assessment in there. Carrie did a lot also, and the e-board has all given input. So hopefully when you see it, we're happy with it. And if we aren't happy with it, call Ken. I can call. Go ahead and forward it to me. And are there any other questions at this point? Yes, Hassan.
I remember getting an email in the last week or so, something about distribution lists and not using personal email as in our functions in the Associated Fire Safety Council. Are there any plans to investigate providing email, for instance, chair at Sierra Springs or whatever, through the website? Or is that on us, individual associate fire safety?
You guys come up with some good questions. I don't know. We're going to take an extra look at it to make sure that no personal information is out on the website. If your website for your associates is, home link, not your own personal link. For instance, Camino, we have a Camino Fire Safety Council. That's the email that's posted. And informational will be on our webpage. But if you're using your personal, each and every one of our fire safety councils also needs to think about how we want that to, how you want to manage that piece at this point in time. But I will look into seeing what is exactly on that with all the other details. Who raised their hand? I didn't. Hands down, it's not down.
No, it's
Yes.
it's a really good question, and
Yes.
it's come up over the years, and it came back again this week, and I think it is something that we really do need to sort of raise to the top of our discussion and see if we have some pathway through that. As our email lists are growing and we're doing a lot and sharing, I think it is a valid discussion. I mean, when we first started this, it's all about networking and information sharing, and I think now things have really evolved to where there's a lot of information going around and a lot of things being shared, outside of our groups. And so, yeah, that's, I think, a very legitimate concern. So we won't let Dorothy sit out there by herself with this discussion. We will sit back and see if we've got some opportunities and explore that for sure. I see John Hess up there.
Question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, John Hess with Autumn Care Play. I may be the only one in the room that is not informed on this, but when you talk about ADA compliance, can you, in a nutshell, explain what that would be on a website?
On the website, and that's a really good question because I had no idea what it meant either. But it has to do with anyone with disabilities. There are certain regulations that they put out there so that it's visually for the visually impaired, say that they can see it. There's certain colors, certain fonts, certain sizes. There's all kinds of requirements. So what they do is they've got programs that will run your information through and see, are you within the compliant range? And I think it's a 90% compliant range. Your website information has to fall in. The other one that's down the line, heads up guys, is the PDFs will also end up needing to be ADA compliant, which means everything that we create. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but this will be a to be continued. And as we figure this out, at least our website, anything that we post on our website right now doesn't have to be ADA compliant as for the PDFs. But the PDFs in the future, my assumption and talking with them is they will help us make sure that whatever we post then will also be ADA compliant, because ultimately they're responsible for keeping us compliant.
And I believe the email that Dorothy will be sending out to all of us tomorrow, I believe it includes the section of the reference to the law that passed last April, I believe, or last year.
And a link to the actual
requirement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And generally, you see the number is 508. Can you hear me in the back? If you see the numbers 508, that generally has to do with ADA compliance in internet type stuff. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions? We're going live tomorrow.
And just to really reiterate what Dorothy was saying. Obviously, everyone will have their thoughts about the website and things that they would like to see. That's good, because I think, folks can only look at something so much. And so I think that you're all gonna probably see things that you'd like to have differently or included. So her email will address how to channel that up, so she can be, and the team can be addressing that sort of on a flow basis. So we needed to have an avenue to make sure that the feedback came in, so that's definitely welcome. So, and yes, Dorothy, we're all gonna thank you for, this has been a challenging project to bring all that together, and we're very appreciative of you for this effort. All right. All right. Without further ado, Secretary Angel Ball reading for herself today.
The first item I have is elections. The 2025-26 election cycle begins today with the announcement of our election committee. The election committee members are Vice Chair Fine, Secretary Ball, and Director Pullen. Director Pullen brings her experience in handling many of the past El Dorado Fire Safe Council elections, and we look forward to a successful election. The nomination process also begins today. I will be accepting nominations in writing and also during our May Board of Director meeting. You will receive an email with more information. Election results will be announced during our June Board of Director meeting. Any questions? Thank you. Now we're moving on to policy and procedure update. In February, we approved several recommendations, and one of the recommendations that we approved is called Fiscal Responsibility and Stewardship. One of the action items states that we should provide how-to for fire safe councils on various topics. On Saturday, April 12th, your chair, Ken Pamela, emailed you the board packet for today's meeting. In the board packet, we included a red line and a final version of Policy and Procedure 16. This policy has been updated to incorporate the steps required for an associate fire safe council to apply and get a bank account under the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. I must say that the document is very well done, and today I'm asking for your final approval on document 16 for the policy and procedure.
And to point Greg, Janet pretty much took the bull by the horns here to make that update and brought it to the e-board. And she's been getting a lot of questions and even requests from associate counsel. So this update to this process was very timely. So that's a lot of words. Yes. Any other thoughts? Great. Any questions, further comments before we put this for okay. All those in favor of approving the updates to the satellite bank account policy and procedure signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Excellent. The policy procedure is updated unanimously. What will happen now is Carrie will post update the policy and procedures section and post the new updated policy to that section. So thank you. Anything else, Angel?
Yes, I would like to also bring up some opportunities that await you. At the back table, we have the El Dorado County Fair sign-up sheet. We do have a booth, and we need about 10 more volunteers to make that event happen. Also, we have a home and garden event, and Elizabeth is taking volunteers for that event, and you can see her for more information. And then lastly, during these events, we have this fabulous binder here that Dorothy is showing. And this binder is a representation of every associate fire safe council. The pages may or may not reflect how you would like your fire safe council to reflect as the public sees it. So it would be nice if you would look at the binder and make sure that you are being represented as you would like to be in the binder. Thank you.
Is this going on the web?
No.
Oh.
This is what the public like.
That's what I mean.
Yes. A lot of it came from the web. A lot, yes.
Okay.
A lot of it did come from the web.
No, but on our new website, is this going to be displayed for people, general public, to see different fire safe councils going, where am I?
This book, no. When you go to our website, you see associate councils and there's a long list and you click on them and whatever is there is there. It may not be what's in this book. But that would be up to you to submit. Thank you.
And then also remember, OHARPR has an awesome site. And they've got the map and all our fire safe councils, the one that where Ken was the beginning background piece that was in there. And so it's really important to also keep directing, the public to that site because it's got just a ton of great information, part of which is the fire safe council information.
Great. Thank you, Angel. Next up, without further ado, the treasurer's report. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. In your board packet is the standard monthly reports as of February 28th. Nothing out of the ordinary to report on either of those reports. If you go to the grant report, I will tell you, kind of give you a sneak peek of what you will see next month. We have closed out the CAL FIRE chipping grant. And I'm pleased to report that out of the $987,000 we got from CAL FIRE, we spent all but about $750 of it. So we maximized as far as we could.
So pass it for one.
Please. Currently now working on our Stevens Authority chipping funding that we have received. The $25,000, we actually maximized that out in March as we closed everything out with CAL FIRE, and I'll be working with our friends at the Forest Service towards another advance there. Other than that, nothing new to report in the standard monthly report.
Any comments, questions on the treasurer's report?
David?
Oh, why did you go there?
I don't think I got the monthly reporting.
It showed up in your inbox this morning.
Oh, my first meeting was at 7:30. Thank you.
How was it?
I don't know if this is best answered here under grants and funding, but can you, one of you, give us an overview of which grants are frozen, which ones are moving, what, where are we in the universe right
Yeah,
now?
let's do it under the grant.
Okay.
There's a couple of sections where we'll talk about this, but yes, let's do it there. I think it's close. Thank you, though, Elizabeth. All right, all those in favor of approving the treasurer's report as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Report approved as presented. Thank you, Janet.
Moving on to other items from the treasurer, attached also in your board packet is the proposed 25-20. I didn't correct the header. The proposed 25-26 budget in blue on the far right column. That is based on updates from activity this year. A number of items were identified at the bottom where I made significant changes to the budget for everybody to review. This is your first preview of this. I think we take action on this in June. So take a look at this. If you have any questions or thoughts that you would like to share, please let me know. But we have a month or so to look at this. I've already made some amendments that Angel had given me on the insurance, and I'm happy to answer any questions on that over the next month or so.
The blue, right?
In the far right blue column. Yes, 25-26. Moving on to one other item, I guess, here, and then we'll talk about other things later today. But we are starting the assessment program funding. Carrie and I have been working on getting a final policy and procedure together for how we're going to do the funding for the assessments that the Associated Fire Safety Councils are doing. The plan at this point, and As I mentioned, we're working on the policy so that it can come before you, but the plan is that the assessment transfers would be made quarterly, the month after the end of the quarter. So for example, Carrie is finalizing the assessments through March 30th. The policy as we're writing it is she will then have 15 days to get it to me, and will have 15 days to do a transfer and an email to all of the councils on how that's working. That has raised another question from a number of councils about why don't we do transfers for everything? Currently, our policy, as it is written in our bylaws, says that all checks will be signed by 2 of the 3 authorized members of the board. So at this point, if we are going to change from checks to a transfer process, the executive board needs to go through and determine how that's going to work and how we're going to get 2 approvals for everything. So this is kind of an evolving space. Not saying that we're not going to get there, but we need to have some thoughtful process for how that is going to occur. So not yet, maybe soon. And I think that's all.
Great. Chris.
Chris Payne, Patterson Ranch, also a board member. I just noted that, and David and I were doing just a little comment on this, the blue in the proposed budget. Obviously, some major changes, which I believe are at least partially reflected in the notes that are below for people who have a copy of this. My question is, this is so significant in terms of us always going forward that it really takes a discussion, I believe. So therefore an agenda item to kind of go through and just show your transparency and the fact that this is on the up and up. It ties to our strategic plan. So Ken, do you understand where I'm trying to go with this? Is that I'm just trying to raise the importance of it, because just based on the report from the treasurer, it's more like, here's the draft. It doesn't get approved till June, but it doesn't really talk about the executive committees look at it or anything that kind of helps us better understand collectively what's going on. That's my point. Okay, thank you.
You see.
Yeah, thank you. I will tell you, and we'll leave it here, all the items in blue are all things that you have generally approved at this board. Things like the purchasing of the equipment here in the facility, the hiring of an executive coordinator, all of the items that are driving our costs are things we bring here, other than some of the day-to-day business that we just know goes at our IT costs and different things that those kinds of things. But there isn't anything in that blue column that we haven't talked about at some point. But yes, prior to us voting on the budget in June, we are happy to walk back through all of those line items and remind everybody what they voted on and what those items are for.
Thank you, Ken.
And I will note that the major change, the one significant change, if you go from our proposed 25 budget of $171,000 to our proposed 26 budget of $290,000, which is basically $120,000, is the approval by this board of the executive coordinator, which I have budgeted at $126,000.
Thank you, Janet. Next up, partners report. Go ahead, Paul.
Just real quick, just the budget I think is quite reasonable from what I've saw, but I saw one thing missing, but I'll take that up offline. As a head, just situational awareness, Butte County Fire Safe Council has 38 full-time employees.
Wow.
And so they have a several $million budget. And I think what El Dorado County Fire Safe Council is doing is putting much more money back into the fire service as it is from the Fire Safe Council. So I think it's hats off to everyone in this room for the diligence and work being done there. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Great, all right, make sure I didn't miss anyone. Well, I'll just stop sharing for a second. Back up. All right, next up, partners reports. Or anybody from BLM on in the room or online. Don't see anyone today. All right, CAL FIRE. I see Patrick here. Are you the lone survivor from CAL FIRE today?
Lone representative.
The designated survivor.
And how did they do to report on the grants front? I know everybody's wondering when the next round of wildfire prevention grants is gonna come out. And we're still being told sometime this year. Don't know if that's this fiscal year or this calendar year. Sometime this year. But last month, my supervisor Megan Sheline asked me to find a place for what CAL FIRE has a lot of hand crews to be brought on, firefighter hand crews, and I was looking for places for them to go do work when they're not doing firefighting, not training, and so Megan asked me to look for places where they could go, and so the first place I went to was, well, what VMPs do we have where we could put them? But then after the Fire Safety Council last month, after this Fire Safety Council meeting, I was talking to Steve Willis from Lake Hills, and he mentioned to me that that fuel break you guys funded years ago for New York Creek really could use some maintenance. And well, these two things kind of came together in my head. That we built all these fuel breaks all over the county, and maybe we could use the firefighting crews to maintain them. And so had some initial discussions with Megan, with Region, and so I'm working with Mark Egbert from the RCD to put together a proposal for the RCD to basically do whatever CEQA archaeology, flagging, basically come up with a maintenance schedule for all these. And so we're working on putting that proposal together, and we're going to run that by Region and see if we can get that, a direct award for the fire safety, for the resource conservation district to maintain all these fuel breaks that we built over the years. And so that's something that we're just kind of working on right now initially before we hear about any more potential wildfire prevention grants. So just wanted to update everybody on that effort. And
just a quick question for CAL FIRE and these hand crews. Would you be available if we came up with a plan for a control burn?
Well, talk to me offline about that. I think there's two separate issues.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Is there any projection from CAL FIRE of when they may close down burning?
I don't have the information about that.
This is usually about 1st of May.
I don't. I'm sorry about that. I don't have information.
It's sort of beginning of May, and then the burning suspensions can happen anywhere, in June-ish. But usually I think we're seeing permits required beginning in May again normally.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Great. Thank you, Patrick, as always. Next up, Tommy Harlow. Bring it back. Oh, Robert.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, so just
move the microphone closer to your, yeah. They say kiss the mic.
Kiss the mic on here. Now better? Just a little update on the county emphasis areas. I think I gave it last time, but the inspectors are working in the Hanks Exchange area. They're finishing up final inspections in the Crystal Boulevard and Gilmore area. Next week, the Defensible Space Working Group will be selecting the next emphasis inspection areas between CAL FIRE, local fire, and the county. So that will be talked about next week. It's been talked about, but we'll probably be selecting those areas next week. Just as a reminder, the county, we pick our areas based on a number of different factors. We look at the one way in, one way out communities. We also look at a broader approach to getting work done. So we're going to be looking at where our projects going to be happening around the county, and can we get a community in that area so that where it's more of a holistic approach to work being done. The CWPP, as some of you are aware and have pointed out to me in an email, so thank you, is delayed. We are, like I keep saying it every month, we really need to get this right. So we are going through the CWPP in a very, very detailed fashion. We are about a month behind, not behind, but it's going to go on for probably until May is when we now hope to get the CWPP out for a 30-day public review. In those 30 days, we will do a 2 virtual public workshops. So stay tuned. As soon as we have a date, you guys will all be the first to know. As far as public outreach, the Board of Supervisors adopted a proclamation on April 1st. It's the Wildfire Awareness Season proclamation. And we kicked off the season with a roundtable and press conference here. It was here at the Legion on April 4th. At the roundtable, it was executive level leadership from local, state, and federal partners, including the county, the cities of Placerville and South Lake Tahoe, El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, Chief Cordero, Shingle Springs Band of Ewok Indians, RCD, the Water Agency, and then we had CAL FIRE, BLM, and we also had the Forest Service Deputy Regional Director, Jay Kurth, and the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Insurance, Michael Soller, and the State Fire Marshal, Daniel Berlant. So it was a really good, well-attended discussion. It was very productive. The partners here locally, they heard from Ken and Janet and Dorothy, myself, Jeff, Chief Hogue, Troy at OES, and we just really talked about the overview of what's happening here locally, what we do here locally, and it's something that doesn't happen other places as far as a partnership. So that is one of the key takeaways that came from that. The Regional Fire Director, Jay Kurth, talked about what's happening at the Forest Service level. The Deputy Commissioner from Department of Insurance gave us a lot of insightful information about what is coming down as far as the sustainable insurance strategy and how it's going to work with Safer from Wildfires, and the importance of defensible space. So something that he had said was that, we're all working together. We're all saying the same thing, whether it's coming from an insurance standpoint or from actual wildfire preparedness and resilience. We have to be doing defensible space. We have to be doing home hardening. And then, of course, the State Fire Marshal, that was his message as well. One of the most important things that he had said was we can't suppress our way out of this wildfire crisis. It's going to take everything. It's a layered approach, and we have to double down on defensible space and home hardening. So anyway, there was a lot of really good conversation. It ended up, we all went out and there was a press conference that you can watch. If you go to the county's Facebook page or our website. And at the press conference, the State Fire Marshal spoke, as well as Deputy Commissioner Soller, and Supervisor Turnbull kicked off our proclamation and the wildfire awareness season. And Tamara spoke too, and she really stressed the importance of community engagement in all of this. And the Fire Safe Council has such a huge role in this. She had said, when anybody from the government shows up at people's doors, they don't want to see us. But the Fire Safe Council shows up to say, hey, let's just do this together. And then all of a sudden they're signing their right of entry. So what's happening at Fire Safe Council is so critical to this bigger picture. So I'm happy to share that with all of you, and thank you very much for everything you do.
Questions?
So first of all, if I talk loud, I don't have to go to the microphone, is that right?
They can hear you in the back.
Can you hear me in the back? Okay. So, the budget and the county in
Yes.
OWAPR, can you speak to that a little?
Yes, we're here. We're gonna stay here, so there are gonna be some changes, but nothing that will hurt your feelings. So everything will be. We're here. Yeah. Yes, David.
I have the same question.
You're one of the ones that can't hear.
I talk a lot, but I guess it's soft. I think I read in the paper that the biomass position's being eliminated in the budget proposal. Do you know anything about that, Tanya?
There has been, on April 8th, there was discussions, it was just that, it was just discussions, no final decisions have been
Alright.
made yet, so.
But the proposal looks like hundreds of thousands is coming out of OWAPR.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, and I'll just tell Tanya.
Sorry, Tanya.
There's, you know, in a nutshell, this comes right from the chief administrator's office. The county, as we all know, depends primarily on property tax revenue to sustain its general fund operations. And one of the issues in our county is wildfire and the insurability. And homes are not selling to the same level, so they're not being reassessed at current market value. We know, going back to Proposition 13, what impact that has. So without homes selling, the decline in that home sales for lots of reasons, including the risk of wildfire, the county's projecting a shortfall in its budget. So every discretionary program was looked at, and these are not easy decisions by anyone to take. We in this room, me included, think that fire is the #1 most important thing on the planet. We're always going to talk about that. But there are lots of programs that are important and are critical to the work that gets done for government to support and maintain its people. And whether it's from economy, tourism, to homeless populations, to wildfire, to health and human services, all of those programs, anything that is discretionary was looked at. And so there was really no program that was initially left, untouched, and that included the OWAPR program. And so yes, there is a reduction, a shift in program position. And it is going to reduce the size right now, but if that continues to go forward of where OWAPR is at. But to Tanya's point, even with the proposal on the table, there really isn't going to be a reduction in what OWAPR is doing for you. The staff will be there that you've been working with for the most part to engage and get work done. The county's working really hard to fund what it can from grants. As you know, the county's got both the FEMA grant, the Wildfire Mitigation Program grant for River Creek, as well as the BLM grant. And the county's been very forward thinking about getting as much of portions or all the positions moved into those to try to protect them, and sort of weather this storm and free up whatever general fund the program can to get it back into other critical functions. So just like any other budget decisions, are tough times. And having been there in my past life, I don't envy what the sales office is having to do to make these difficult decisions. But really, to Tanya's point, yes, the program will most likely be down staff, but not to the point where you're going to see that it's going to continue to function and support and be there, and we'll weather through it and keep going.
You're not getting rid of me.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, any other questions for Todd? Awesome. Well, thank you. And I'll just echo what an outstanding event that was on the 4th here, and the engagement that happened. And there'll be more coming from that we're going to see. Okay, next up, Chief Tim Cordero, El Dorado County Fire Chief and Fire Chiefs Association President. Good morning, Chief Cordero.
Good morning, Ken, Fire Safe Council, and I'll just re-echo Ken's echo to Tanya's comments about the event on the 4th. I thought it was a tremendous event. I know it was a heavy lift and a lot of coordination, but I think it really kind of put our county on the map with, you know, a very public view of the work that's taken place collaboratively across all levels of the county. So kudos to the group for pulling that off. I thought it was great. We are working with the OWOPR group on those emphasis areas and the districts that are doing the defensible space inspections in coordination with that. We'll be kicking that off here pretty shortly. We have the Placerville Fire Safe Council, their wildfire event. I'm going to plug that for April 26th at Midtown Mall from 10 to 2. Should be a good event. And then also from the fire side of the house, we have our annual OES Strike Team Leader refreshers that are coming up 2 separate times later this month as we kind of start gearing up for fire season. Although what's transpired in the last couple of months, we're kind of already there, but these are annual requirements as we gear up for what is typically the normal fire season. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and to report.
Questions or comments for Chief Cordero? It's Lester.
Yeah, hi. Lester Lubetkin, Oak Hill Area Fire Safe Council, and definitely saddened by the loss of Lucas Shepard, and the memorial was very well done. The question I had is kind of where the both the prevention captain and kind of where that whole area is going, and it may be too early.
No, we have that's a good question, and I appreciate that. We have a plan that's in place. Obviously, there's a little bit of a disruption in our normal flow with what's transpired, but we have a plan that is in place, and we'll work to attempt to backfill those shoes. Those are big shoes that, quite honestly, I don't think we'll ever fill to the degree they were. But for the folks out that are needing services from our Prevention Bureau, please just be a little bit patient. They are working through things, but there is just a little bit of a delay in our processes. We kind of get it back up and running smoothly.
Thank you, Chief Cordero, and just sort of putting a fine point on that wonderful fitting send off on Saturday. Thank you for making such a fitting tribute.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, I don't think we have anybody. Officers Association, as Chief Cordero said, there's still a lot working through the fire prevention officers to identify leadership and combat. So we'll get back to everybody there. I don't see anybody throughout National Forest. Fine. And I know Eric Brown from SMUD emailed me. He said he had a conflict this morning. Don't see him online, so we will hear back from Eric from SMUD next month. Looks like the same with Mike Webb from PG&E. I don't see Mike. I don't know how, Courtney.
Because it doesn't say Courtney.
It says Mark, and Mark's not here. The funny part is that we had like a 10-minute conversation before this meeting to coordinate this whole, because there's going to be a lot to talk about. So, yeah. Courtney.
Okay. The Resource Conservation District. I have a few updates. One of which is about the Placerville Community Wildfire Resiliency Strategy. We do have the final report. It is on our website. There's also an interactive map which has the layers that were used, at least some of them, so that you can toggle on and off those layers to see what types of data was used to add to the report. We will be presenting that report to the Grantor Sierra Nevada Conservancy along with other stakeholders. So if you have any questions about the report, or if you'd like to have a one-on-one meeting about the report, feel free to reach out to me. Any questions on that? Okay. Projects updates. So as we all know, there have been some challenges in regards to grant funding over the last few months. We have been working with our
contractors as supporting their efforts, and also with the Fire Safe Council in regards to the funding and where we're at on that. I think we've come to a very good place. We've had some meetings in regards to where we're going now with many of these grants. So I'm going to give you an overview, and then Janet is going to fill you in on some of the discussion that has happened. So I first of all want to assure you that we will complete the projects prior to these deadlines. We're very confident working with our partners, and we will be getting these done. The Caldor project replanting has begun. So seedlings are getting in the ground, and we've got some competition control going on, some burning, and we're also coordinating the expansion units with the Fire Safe Council, along with our operations team, to identify where we're putting the additional grant funds that need to be utilized. We're still accepting right of entry agreements, so they come in slowly, but if there's someone that you've identified, please feel free to give them my information. In regards to the Coloma Lotus Fuel Reduction Project, we are planning that expansion. We just had a meeting last week regarding expansions, including Terraview Loop, Los Robles, Taipan, Aerobie, and other additional units. We will need to get some ARC surveys done on those, but we need to also really dial in. We'll get other meetings planned in regards to dialing in exactly which units, so that we can identify what cultural assets need to be surveyed. Our South County Fuel Reduction Project, the work is continuing along Mount Auckham Road. We are coordinating with our contractor regarding next steps. Again, funding was unsteady, and our contractor needed to pull off, but we are in coordination with them. They'll be adding additional equipment. So again, we're very confident we're going to finish this project on time. Spanish Flat operations are continuing there. At this time, hand crews are being utilized. No heavy equipment. There were some malfunctions with the heavy equipment, and so with the state of things, it's very difficult to get parts right now. So they're waiting to get parts to replace the parts that need to be on their heavy equipment, and they do have some ideas about adding additional crews as well. So we are in contact with all of our contractors. You also, I just want to share with you, some of these contractors are not only working on federal funds, which were frozen, but also on state. And it has a wide-reaching effect across these, some smaller local contractors, which is what we all like to use. Obviously there's a bidding process, and they are absolutely committed to these projects, and we are working with them and supporting them through this process. Stevens Authority projects right now, we will be on the Volcanoville roadside fuel reduction project. It's expected to begin again operations within the next 3 to 4 weeks. The contractor was pulled off onto a larger project, so we expect that to hopefully get started in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Mosquito fuel reduction, they are committed to beginning operations May 1st. We are looking to coordinate operations in the Grizzly Flat, Stevens Authority, And the mosquito EFRT, the requests for proposals were submitted on Monday. They're being reviewed, and a contract is expected to be awarded on Monday, next Monday. And then the Marshall Road roadside fuel reduction. Again, this contractor is on pause. We're coordinating with them to get them back on the Marshall Road fuel reduction project as quickly as possible. Questions? Helpful. Okay.
And maybe before, because it might answer some of your questions. Yesterday I met with Mark and with Amy to discuss the funding piece of this. So with the concern about grant viability, the county auditor is holding a payment for contractors that Mark has contracted with for work that has been performed, where in the past the county was advancing money for these projects. So as Mark was working through, he would get bills from the contractors. He would schedule them for payment because work was performed. The county was aware of this. They would front the money until reimbursement came from either us or whoever else Mark's working for. Because of the concern about viability of grants and whether reimbursements were going to occur in a timely manner, the auditor is requiring Mark to prove that grant funding has been approved for us by CAL FIRE, by the Forest Service, prior to their paying the contractors. So this is what is causing some of the difficulty. We have small business contractors who can't afford to go several months before they receive some of their significant payments. So I met with Mark yesterday. We had a really good conversation about how we're going to manage this going forward. And there's a couple of things that we're going to do. We talked about in the past, the RCD has given us quarterly billings for all of these grant projects, at which point I would then bill for those. We would get payment. I would pay Mark. The auditor would be happy. That's too long now for the auditor under these current circumstances. So we're going to start receiving monthly bills for our contracts through CAL FIRE and through the Forest Service and BLM. That I will process on a monthly basis, and so that the cash is flowing a little more frequently. The other thing that we agreed is, to the extent that Mark has a good handle on what he's going to spend in the next 4 to 6 months, we can do advances. And I committed to him that I was happy to do that. That's not I do it for the chipping and for the Defensible Space Program, as well as the Hazard Tree Program that we manage for the very same reason, is that we need to have cash on hand when our vendors bill us, or it becomes very difficult, because we're all hiring the same small business local vendor here in the county, trying to do the right thing both to our contractors in the county and for our projects. So we did come to a good plan on how we're going to manage this going forward. So I think some of the other things that we're doing is, as I get approvals, I get notice by email from CAL FIRE that they have approved my financial report and will be issuing a check. That process is a separate process for getting the financial report approved. But when they give me that approval, if I give that to Mark or Amy, they're going to give it to the auditor. The auditor said they will then pay the contractors based on that approval, because they know the money's coming. It's really a concern with making sure that these aren't long-term funding holds. And particularly at this time when the county is facing this budget shortfall, it doesn't want to be having 6 months worth of invoices that they paid that they have this receivable for. So we are working together closely. We've got a plan, and hopefully, as Courtney said, they're going to get these contractors back in the field, doing what we want them to do, and we will be meeting their needs for timely payment.
Thank you, Janet. We appreciate working with you, and we are very much looking forward to getting everybody back. So, thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to thank Courtney and RCT because he's kept us really informed on what's going on at Mosquito. And this past Monday, Alex Stevens came out and offered to come out and talk to our board and our community about the grants, and he did, and it was a wealth of information. So thank you to RCT. Thank you, Janet, for jumping through all those hoops. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm trying to put together the discussion we had earlier about the budget for 2026 and the conversation that you just had, both with Courtney and yourself, related to some changes that are occurring administratively that, in my mind, increases your efforts to be able to satisfy under the current conditions. If the current conditions go beyond June 30th, 2025, then I believe that your item 5010 contract support tech and grant ought to be considered for an increase, just reflecting some assistance that you have, you as the treasurer, and knowing you're not a paid position, and I'm just being sensitive, having known you for a long time, that sometimes you don't speak up, in my mind.
Don't you know?
She's always been very kind, and I appreciate her so much for that. But you understand that I am concerned about your position, and I just want us to make sure that going forward that we are prepared as much as we can be. But I see this thing being a couple of months in terms of maybe some resolution that we might get. So that's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, so seeing no other comments? Thank you for that update. I'll get back into that here in a second when we get into the grants update from TANF, but before that, I don't see anybody from the Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services. Okay, and then I do believe the Bureau of Reclamation, you have someone who will get back. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hear me? This is Varela Guerrero. I am a natural resources specialist at the Central California Area Office out of Folsom. I am your new point of contact for the Fuels Management Program. Bess is retiring pretty soon. So yeah, so anything you need, please feel free to reach out and contact me, and I'll be working very closely with you all. I'm going to give you 3 updates, but I'm just going to, with the big disclaimer that I am new to this program. So if you have questions, I'll take them, but I don't know that I'll have all the answers. So we are working on burning 100 piles over 66 acres at Auburn Lake Trails. We're working on it, and the work is expected to happen in May. We are also working on initiating the Georgetown Greenwood shaded field break as soon as we're able to issue a contract. Our process is a little bit delayed right now because, as you know, there's a lot of shifting in the federal government right now. So please be patient with us on that one. We're also planning on expanding the footprint of the Lake Hills, Folsom Lake shaded field breaks and Eldorado Hills. We are working on the environmental and cultural analysis, but we don't have a timeline as to when the project will be on. So yeah, those are my updates. And if you have questions, let me know. I'll take your questions and then get back to you later on.
Well,
Varela Guerrero.
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here in person, introducing. Maybe before you leave today, if you could, and then you just stop by. Should we get your contact info and I'll get it out to the group? But we're super excited have you participating with us. And there's a lot of good things going on that side of it.
So thank you. I'm happy to be here and to learn. I have a lot to learn, and I'm happy and hoping that you all make it along. So,
You're
thank you.
amongst friends here.
Yes. Too. So we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, Tamara. That's the microphone down here.
Okay, so I'll start with the grant that everybody wants to know about, California Fire Safe Council Education and Outreach Grant. Unfortunately, I still do not have an update on if and when we're getting the advance. So that grant is still on hold. They just scheduled a meeting with me for May 1st, where I'm supposed to be getting an update on May 1st about the advance. Whether it will be something we want to hear or not, I don't know, but it's, as I keep saying, as soon as I find out something about it, you will all know. Let's see what else we have going on right now. As Janet mentioned, the CAL FIRE chipping grant ended March 15th. So we closed that out, submitted the final report April 14th. We submitted 3 proposals to the PG&E Vegetation Management Program. One was for chipping, $97,000 for chipping. And then one was for, as fiscal sponsor for Texas Hill, they requested $100,000 for fuels reduction. And the third one was for South County, also $100,000 for fuels reduction. We should be hearing, I think we were supposed to hear about that mid-April, which would be now. So we should be hearing from them soon. And I just want to mention, PG&E is, and I just found out about this, but PG&E is also kind of throwing a lot of money around on fuels reduction and some of the existing projects. So I don't have the details yet, but I just want to kind of give them kudos. They really are starting to invest pretty heavily in fuels reduction work in our county. So we could probably get more information about that and report on that in the future. But
yeah, we have good, honestly, consistent representation for PG&E. I know, Mike Webb's really in another operational kind of a program, as always, like his time. I think that the rep that they had, I think she's moved on. So we'll follow up on that and try to get some better information from their program, fuels program, to another meeting.
And then the only other thing I have is I just got word that there was a BLM grant opportunity that was on hold, which we were planning to apply for $300,000 to do the NEPA environmental work on all of the 3,000 acres of BLM parcels in the North County. And it's been on hold, but I've gotten word that it should be coming back open imminently, and we'll have a very quick turnaround. Love the information I'm getting on all the timing and all this. But that's good news. We should be able to apply for that soon. So that'll help us do the environmental reviews on, which is the first step to being able to do work on BLM. So things do seem to be kind of opening up a little bit, but it's still, day by day and not totally always clear what's going on. So that's all I have on grants for now. Any questions?
I had one question. Is there much connection between the federal grants and the state grants? Do any state monies depend on federal grants? Will we start to see some effect on state grants too?
I don't think CAL FIRE depends on federal grants, which is where we get the bulk of our state funding. I don't know about maybe through Cal OES or those types of things if there will be an effect. So I don't know, but I think for CAL FIRE, from what I understand, it's not. Because I think most CAL FIRE funds come from the state budget and greenhouse gas fund and that kind of thing. So Patrick, am I characterizing that correctly? Okay.
And to answer the question that came up earlier was, are there any holds on any of our funds? Both the Forest Service, BLM, CAL FIRE, they are all paying on the grants that we have. They will not make the Forest Service and BLM will not make any amendments at this point in time to the grants that we have. We would like to have an amendment to our Forest Service Stevens Authority grant, but until such time as we get the green light for that, we won't be able to do that, which was to extend it for time. But they are all accepting and reimbursing for invoices. So at this point in time, there is no constraints in terms of being reimbursed for funding for work being performed.
And kind of going back to Alice's question, the California Fire Safe Council grant, the public outreach grant, that is a federal pass-through grant that the council received, which is why it's still a bit nebulous. So it's on.
So just a cautionary note on PG&E doing these kind of fuels reduction. They've been working a lot in our neighborhood. And one of the big issues that comes up is that contractors they hire. What happens is there's either lack of information or communication with the local landowners. And so what happens is they leave a lot of trees down on private properties, and they don't communicate with the local landowners where they have to sign a form if they want to keep the tree or not, because they consider it the property owners. The smaller stuff, the branches and stuff, they'll clear. And so we've had years-long issues, lack of communication, lack of follow-through, changing contractors. And so especially with us coming up on our New Year's evaluations of our properties, that is a big issue that is still ongoing. So just a little note of caution.
Well, and thank you for that, because I guess I didn't make it clear what the fuel reduction work I was referring to earlier is they're giving us money to do fuel reduction. So they're contracting directly with RCD to do fuel reduction. So yeah, it wasn't clear. So we're not having that issue.
Okay.
Any questions for Town? Okay, so before I move on, and so that you can sleep tonight, I want to double check with the folks online. How's the audio coming through? Are you able to hear all of us? Hopefully better than before, but let me get some feedback from.
Yes, the audio has been very good.
Great, thank you, Gary. Yeah, and you all sound good coming through there too. All right, so you have one less thing you can worry about.
No, but I've been sitting here texting with Tim in Texas. And he's keeping me up to speed on what's going on. Everything's working great.
Yeah. He was always working an angle. We knew that would be that. Okay. Next up are assistance programs, and so our executive coordinator Jennifer's been managing that for us here in this interim as we have those programs, long term filling that vacancy. But Jen, for an update on the assistance programs.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to report on the assistant programs. I've been collecting data. I do not have all the year to date for some of these, but I would like to share with you what I have. For the chipping program, we have in March completed 90 new jobs, and our year to date is 161 shipping jobs. For the amount of cubic yards shipped in March, I have 15,818. In March, we spent a total of $37,777.73. I'm still working on the year to date for the shipping. So I only have the month. For the defensible space, in the month of March, we evaluated 62 new parcels. We have 57 that are waiting to be evaluated. And we've completed 46 jobs. So year to date for the defensible space, we've completed 85 jobs. Let's see, and the total spent for defensible space in March was $63,475.72. $8,375 was spent towards evaluating, and $55,117 was spent on the actual work, the boots on the ground. And for the defensible space in March, we had 6 people who were low income that participated in our program. And year to date, we've had 12 people who were low income. For March, we've had 6 people who were disabled that participated. Year total, we have 13 people who were disabled who participated in our program. In March, we have 9 veterans. And year to date, we have had a total of 21 veterans who participated in the defensible space program. And as far as seniors, in March, we had 38 participants. And year to date, we have 63 seniors. Year to date, we have spent $121,687.66 for RG space evaluators and work on the ground. For hazardous trees, in the month of March, we have spent $8,750. We assessed 35 parcels. They cut 163 trees, and our grand total was $81,531. Year to date for the tree program, we've spent $86,031. Thank you.
Any questions for the assistance program?
I will have a more complete year-to-date for all 3 programs at our next meeting.
I think there's a question at the end, David.
Yes, Mr. Zelinski.
You know, his mic off. Oh, all right. Okay.
Oh, Jennifer, when Jessica was doing it, we got regular reports that we could use for our Firewise documentation. So like she would give me for zip code 95667, dollars and addresses so I can make sure that they were in our Firewise communities, or which one of our Firewise communities. And so I'd have dollars that I could use for documentation for the hazardous tree, for the defensible space, for the chipping. And so that was a regular report. I'm also thinking we should get that for the assessments too, because even though there's not $1, I think we maybe should do like 2 hours per assessment, one for the homeowner and an hour, at least an hour for the assessor. And so those are things we can do that really builds up our dollars for investment for Firewise. So I don't know if you can find old spreadsheets that Jessica used to do, but all of us who have Firewise communities can use those reports. Does that make sense?
Yeah, David, we talked about it. We're on board, and it's going to take some time. We realize that we're a little behind in getting those reports out, but we don't need to renew Firewise till a little bit later in the year. So you will have all the information.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm always panicking ahead.
All right, and we're panicking.
For August, September, August. Okay. Thank you for bringing.
Don't wait.
Okay, training update. The training class for April is 1 week from today, right here. I have 4 openings, or at least I had at the beginning of the meeting. I don't know, I have a sign up sheet on the table back there. There are 4 openings in the April class. I had a couple people drop out. I did send an email to everyone that was in the May class and ask if anyone in the May class wanted to move to April. I did get one response back so far for that. But there are still 4 openings. In the May class, I think there are 11. There are 11 openings left. So if you have someone or any of you want to get into either of those classes, you're going to need to sign up. April is the 23-24, starts a week from today. And the May class is May 19th and 20th. So that's what's going on. Also, Carrie gave me an update on the number of assessments done in April. And I'm so excited to tell you we did it entirely. So we did 2. And both of those assessments were done by Rancho del Sol. So if you are not doing assessments, well, I'm not going to say that. If you're not doing assessments, I really encourage you to get out and start doing that. And I realize that there are a lot of things that affect that. Now, obviously, we've had some weather and we've had those kind of things. But things are starting to dry out. Things are going on. Watching on watch duty. I'm seeing a few calls starting to come in now with CAL FIRE. So things are getting ready. So I really encourage you to start getting in touch with your neighbors, getting in touch with people out there, and start pushing this and seeing if you can get some assessments done. Oh, yeah.
Cameron, Carrie has an update with it up there as well.
March. I gave you the March. The March ones, I think, were 13.
Yeah. We only have 30 some fire safe councils, and we're doing 13 and 2.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to just say that at our wildfire expo, we had sign-in sheet and we have a column for, do you want an assessment? So I just want to encourage people when you do events, because a lot of people said yes. So as soon as we have our 8 volunteers, our new volunteers trained, we will be doing those assessments.
Thank you.
See those numbers.
Any questions? Good.
Good. All right, thank you, Hugh. Outreach and education, Dorothy.
I'll try to switch in here between the two. It's kind of halfway between these two. So we are. We do have a booth at the Home and Garden Show, as was mentioned. I do have a sign up sheet back there. It would be nice. So the Home and Garden Show is 3 days, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've got a couple volunteers already. It would be really nice to have a couple people there so I can take a break once in a while. But the theme, it's a little rough. It was kind of thrown together last minute, but we're working with the Home and Garden Show to have a wildfire ready corner of the show. So to have vendors, contractors, people that are doing wildfire ready sort of stuff in one area, and hopefully build on that over coming years. So especially if you're a trained assessor, we're gonna have a few more coming out. It's a great way to kind of start practicing your ability to talk to the public and talk about the physical space and home hardening and Zone 0 and all these things that are coming. So if you have a little bit of time over those days, sign up or see me, and we'll go from there. At the fairgrounds, the Placerville Fairgrounds. Yeah.
Anything else? Moving on then to outreach and education. We're in the process of forming a working group, but we have the person here that we need to give a big round of applause to, and that's to Alice, because she has been the education and outreach, not only guru, but the master of bringing information forward constantly. She's been a huge part for what she donated her time and energies and materials to the website. So at this point, we need to give her a big round of
And Lester.
And Lester. He got to hear it last week, or last month, actually, but Alice thinks she's taking a break, but just to get it on the minutes that that was last month. And so we're going to keep reaching out, Alice, because you're such a great resource of information. Also to remember on the outreach, as Tanya had mentioned,
Facebook, if you have a Fire Safe Council Facebook, make sure to join, follow the OWOPR website or Facebook. I'm stuck on website. Excuse me. And the Facebook for El Dorado County Fire Safe, because they're starting to post some really good pieces of information. There's a plan that's been put in place as for what is posted for April, then May. And so everybody's kind of sending out the same messages, which is good. And just back to the large, yes, Elizabeth. No, go ahead and go.
I was just thinking, you mentioned, Tanya mentioned that before, that you have a master plan for each month. Could you share that with us?
No, it's top secret.
Okay.
Yes, that would be a great. Tanya shaking her head.
Nodding.
Yes. She's shaking her head this way. You know, like the little bobblehead. Sorry, but Tony, we love you and we love it. We're really glad that your department is not being cut whatsoever. So that's a big help to all of us. And the other thing to remember is during that press conference, the Fire Safe Council, I was representing our voice. We are, thanks to the structure that's been set up with all the agencies and everybody that was pulled in, we are the voice of the community. We're the bridge between our grassroots and the agency. So thank you for the structure that's been set up and the information. We always have somebody in the Fire Safe Council at those tables representing our voices, because obviously we know there's only so much agencies can do, but that's why he was pushing the evaluations and the assessments that are going out there, those sorts of things. It's our efforts that make the difference, because there's more of us. So, end of report. See, she's all right. Yes, Alex. Whoa.
So one of my last commitments, though, as the chair, was the April 26th class reveal event. And so we've been talking about getting volunteers for the fair and for Home and Garden. I just want to say we also could use 1 or 2 more. That's not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. So it could just be for even 2 hours would be really helpful for that event. Thank you. And last thing is I am going to continue the Fire Flash. So as you continue with, I want to keep that going and getting the information out. So continue to send in information about that. And thank you all for being amazing and coming to all these events and everything you do for your Fire Safe Council. That's so important. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice.
Anything else on public outreach and education? All right. From there, turning over to governance and new council formation. Angel.
Thank you. We do not have any new councils forming at this point, but I think what's more exciting is we have councils that are adding space to their boundaries. So the boundaries are expanding, which I appreciate. You just need to reach out to me and tell me what it is that you're thinking about doing, and we'll work out the details. And I do have one council that will be changing their name soon, so you'll hear about that probably in June. And that's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Angel? I think everyone's afraid.
Right.
Yeah.
If you make eye contact with her, she's going to make you change your banner and take other hands.
Just raise your hand.
Right. I do thank Angel as well. She's taken the bull by the horns on a number of issues that we've been working on projects and really helping all of us sort of get through some of the things we need to do. So thank you. Okay, we are up to item 9, community council report. So that's our chance to talk about what's going on and share with each other what's happening around the Fire Safe Council network in the county. So fire away. What's happening? I know there's things going on out there. Logtown. Okay.
Ken Rogers, Logtown, Fire Safe Council. Last weekend we had Dan Corcoran from EID. I wonder how we got him. To our Fire Safe Council, and he talked about our Logtown's water supply, hydrant capacity, and hydrant maintenance. It was a very good presentation. We're set up next month for our Greenways Day, as well as our regular meeting. So it should be an active month in May. That's all.
Thank you, Sam. Great.
The Grizzly Flat Fire City Council, green waste events, there's 2 of them associated with it. The compostable bag distribution on April 26th, US Post Office there, 9 to 4 in the afternoon. And then on May 10th, there's a community green waste collection day at where the community church is or was, whichever way you want to put it, from 9 to noon.
Thanks, Ernie. I think that's just for clarification, it's compostable bags, not combustible bags. Thank you.
One works.
It does work. I go, we'll go Court and then we'll go there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cord Wagner. I'm from Heritage El Dorado Hills Fire City Council. We're south of 50 off of Latrobe. We're one of the fire city councils that's looking to expand our boundaries. There's a community right next door to us. It's called Four Seasons. It's 400 homes, age restricted kind of community. I want to thank Elizabeth for coming and doing an assessment for their committee that's looking at becoming a Firewise community, and we hope to bring them into our larger community. But also for Tanya coming out there and speaking with them as well as El Dorado Hills Fire. So the good things happening over in our Fire City Council. So we're only a few months old, but we're trying to get started. So thank you.
Great work. Thank you, Court. Tamara.
Well, I just wanted to give a report on the first installment of our Divide Wildfire Expo. We had a full day on April 5th. The topic was prevention and preparation, and it was a partnership with Garden Valley Fire and Georgetown Fire. And we had, I just want to thank everyone who came out to speak for us. Tanya was there the whole day, spoke on behalf of OWAPR. She didn't speak the whole day, but she could have. Yeah, no, she hung out the whole day and was really great. CAL FIRE was there, the Forest Service, BLM, GPUD, which is our water district up on the Divide. We had Mike Webb from PG&E, who also lives in Georgetown, so it's easy for him. Bob Hess was a really great support, talked about the radio program, and oh yes, and it was really well received. I got a lot of people felt like the information they got was really valuable. So our next one is May 3rd. That one will be focused on the incident, what happens when there's a wildfire. So a lot of focus on evacuation, and animal control will be speaking in kind of overview of what happens on behind the scenes, or what the public doesn't see with wildfire, kind of incident command and the structure and all of that. And in the afternoon will be an evacuation game, which I mentioned before. So people will be able to break out in groups and play a board game that simulates kind of what happens when you're needing to make quick decisions when you're evacuating. So, yeah. And if I ever do this again, we are only going to do one day.
Wow. Let's see, we go. Ginny, no, Ginny, go ahead, and then we'll do Bob, and we'll come back to Elizabeth. We'll get it.
Jane from Greenstone Country Fire Safe Council, and on May 14th, and Dorothy, I owe you this. I got your email. We just have the date settled, but May 14th from 5 to 7, Greenstone's going to have OES out and Jay Chop to talk about evacuation for our community, and also what the whole county does, and then how to prepare if you have 10 minutes to evacuate, 5 minutes to evacuate, or a half an hour to evacuate, what you should bring. So that was very helpful. Jay's going to do that for us. We have Green Waste Days in the May into June, and then in the fall we'll have Green Waste Days. So there you go. That's it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say that Tamara's event was just awesome. I sent her a note afterwards and I said, you should have told the whole county about this, but I know she was focusing on her area, but it was a different kind of event than other Fire State Council events I've attended. Very well organized, and I may want to steal that idea or partner with her in the future. As far as Coloma Lotus, we had a pretty well attended meeting on a Friday night. Jennifer was there. And, oh, Tanya was there, gave a nice talk, but the main presentation was targeted grazing, which, you know, David in downtown Placerville wouldn't be interested in, but.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I blew it.
Really, really good talk. We record our talks, and so, you know, I can make that available. And by the way, for Dorothy, can we put video? We have a bunch of videos of speakers, including Alice. Can we put them on the website?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So good meeting, good attendance on a Friday night, and Angel and Richie and I got on the phone, drew up the boundaries to include a good chunk of the Gold Hill area into our Fire Safe Council. And we're just wrapping up 2 more Firewise communities, and we're just starting on the final 2. And when we're done, we'll have a whole Fire Safe Council Firewise. That's it.
Wow. And by the way, Bob, because of your grazing presentation, Tom now wants a goat. So we're having to deal with that. All right, so we're gonna go with Elizabeth and then back to Mike.
So Elizabeth, Sandwich Fire Safe Council, we finally got our final organization for our Green Waste Day, May 17th. So hopefully we will be moving forward with that. We appreciate our partners there with the small CSD within our boundaries. They had to have their meetings to get that all going. The other thing I wanted to share with people, as part of my home hardening work, I'm always keeping my eyes peeled for resources for people to like prevent screening. And we get a lot of questions about that. So I thought I'd share it with everybody today. So some materials that are out there, I'm not recommending one over the other, but you know, everybody should have their 1/8 inch or smaller screening. So one material, this bronze stuff, you can order it online from Amazon or Home Depot. It's great, basically insect screening, but it's a little heavier duty. I happened to be at Placerville Fruit Growers for other things the other day and found out that they have or can order a galvanized 1/8 inch screen material. It comes in all kind of different sizes. I've got some pricing on different size rolls. And one thing to throw out there for Fire Safe Council is one thing we did was our Fire Safe Council bought kind of in bulk some materials to have on hand. And then if people need them, we can sell it to them at cost. Or we actually got a small grant that helps us sell it to our residents at half cost, just to grease the wheels, make it easier for people to get the materials so they don't have to buy a 100-foot roll when they need 10 feet of something. So just an idea. If you have any questions, you can ask.
That's a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'm Mike Connolly with Auburn Lake Trails. As Zarela mentioned, we're working with the POR on pile burning on the Auburn State Recreation lands immediately adjacent to Auburn Lake Trails. I'd like to thank the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council and our partner organizations for helping with our wildfire simulation exercise that we did last month. We had over 125 members of our community attend, so it was a very successful event. Using a grant we got from the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, we sent a brochure on home hardening to all 1,106 residents of the Auburn Lake Trails area. And we're holding a Green Waste Day on May 31st. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And I've heard nothing but great feedback on your event.
Alice Hamlow with Oak Hill Area Fire Safe Council. Our community day event was the same day as Camera's big one up on the divide, but it's kind of nice. With our 4th annual one, and every year it gets bigger, and so it's nice that we keep engaging more and more people. And one thing I love that we do that really was successful this time again was we have these big giant sheets and people write down what they did for defensible space, what they did for home hardening. And then if they do that, then give us that information, which is actually enough for our Firewise just at that one event. And then they can enter a drawing, and we give out like a certificate to a hardware store. Is what we did this time. So it was a really nice way of engaging with the people in our community. And we did have the radio watches there, which was great. We had Mike Davis there, and also the large animal rescue people. It's always nice to have them, and lots of home hardening. And people
are much more interested in that stuff now than they used to be. And it's really exciting to see that. They love getting to hold all that stuff and just reminding you that we have a lot you can borrow for your own events. And, looking at the kinds of things Elizabeth had, we have lots and lots of examples that you can borrow. I think that's it.
Yes. Time.
So Hassan, Sierra Springs Regional Fire Safe Council, some quick updates. We're gonna have a pancake breakfast coming up this Saturday, no eggs. Les Richards will be there, and I will be there helping him informing our community about our Green Waste Day, which is May 3rd. Last year we had 2 40-yard containers. This year we'll have 3. And we're also doing the same kind of thing, handing out some gift certificates to a local hardware store. And then I'd also like to thank Jennifer for helping us get registered with TechSoup. And so we got signed up for a discount with Zoom. And so we will be able to have multiple opportunities to use Zoom for our meetings. And maybe I don't know if it's possible to check it out. Again, piggybacking on this idea of having organizational email addresses instead of personal. I don't know if TechSoup does something like, I think Google has a service, but you have to pay for it. If that could be discounted through TechSoup, that might be nice. Anyway, and that's it for now. Oh, one other thing. We do have a change in our procedures this year on how we're going to do our mandatory evaluations. We're going to lessen the amount of parcels that we're going to evaluate, hopefully to try and streamline and lessen the load on our HOA board for doing follow-ups and compelling our residents to do their defensible space. Thank you.
Thanks, Hassan. Any others? Anything online? Up, Gary, online.
Yeah, hi, it's Gary Bull from Rancho del Sol. We have our spring green waste event scheduled for Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th. So the community is preparing for that. And I also like to thank Jennifer for her help with TechSoup. We got a Zoom license for our Fire Safe Council and some Adobe software, which was a very good price. So thank you.
Well, spend, oh, sorry, go ahead, Dan. Microphone? Oh, you've got that.
At the April 26th event of Plaza Wildfire Safety Day, it's also dedicated to the memory of Division Chief Lucas Shepard, and the fire department will be having a memorial table there. There'll be an opportunity to donate to the family. So be mindful of that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. The others that are missing? Well, one thing that I heard loud and clear was all of the events going on. It's that time of year. It's exciting to hear, in particular, the number of green waste days. And I think we ended up ultimately with 19 or 20 councils. So that's almost 2/3 or 20. Yes, a total of 20. So basically 2/3 of the associate councils have a green waste day funded through the Title III. So kudos to all of you. A lot of requests come in about, could we expand Title III projects to do other things besides just green waste? And so we're trying to evaluate a couple of things. We didn't talk about it during the grants portion. We received our allotment of Title III for this fiscal year. I think it's approximately $140,000. So we want to sit down at the board and come up with some thoughts. And obviously, we've got to keep things within the framework. Title III is very specific about the kinds of things that can be funded, particularly things around Firewise and Community Wildfire Protection Plan, implementation, education, outreach. But I heard requests for, could we do some signage? Could we do other kinds of activities? And I think that's totally appropriate. The biggest challenge is trying to make sure everybody clearly understands what we can and can't do with Title III. So when we put out instructions through sort of a call proposal, I want to make sure we're clear so we don't get anyone down the wrong path. So our plan is to hopefully come back out here in the next couple of months with sort of another call for proposals, if you will, to put out another opportunity for councils to do some work under Title III and maybe expand that beyond just the community greenway space. So stand by for that. Unfortunately, although I have not seen it officially, the county has told us informally that right now there doesn't appear to be any additional Title III money coming from the federal government this next fiscal year. And remember that Title III is part of the federal statute. That's monies that come from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, sort of in lieu of the property taxes and other taxes that don't get charged because the land's owned by the federal government. So again, it's all on the watch list, right, to see where things go down the road. We've been very fortunate over the last, honestly, almost 10 years now to be getting Title III from the county. And they've been, in the last several years, giving us all of the money that they're receiving has been coming to us. So I don't know where it's going to be going down the road into the future, but for now, we've got our current allocation, and we'll use that wisely and prudently. There's also been some requests about could we increase the amount annually that we provide to each fire safe council. As you may remember, there's $200 a year that each of you as councils are entitled to. I realize it's not a lot of money, and again, it's very narrow the kinds of things we can spend it on. But that's another thing we want to look at is should we increase that? Would that be more viable for councils to use? Many of you aren't using that. So that's one piece. And then new councils, each time a new council is formed, you get a one-time $500 allocation from Title III. Again, we could look at potentially increasing that. Again, the downside is we may not have this money going forward. So we're trying to evaluate all of that and get the best value. But at the end of the day, our goal is to get this money out on the ground for all of you. It's just the best way to do that is what we're evaluating. So more to come on that, but just kudos to everyone for the amount of activity with Greenways Days and others that you're all doing. So with that brings us up to public comment. And I know we've got at least one today, Mark and Sonia, that I'd like to invite them to come forward. And I think, just remember, we don't endorse vendors as the Fire Safe Council, so we don't put any vendor on a separate sort of speaking opportunity, if you will. But we encourage anyone we've done in the past, if they want to talk about what they do and share that, everyone's welcome to do that during the public comment period. So I will let Mark introduce who they are and what they want to talk about. And Mark, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Massey. I'm here with Sonia Backus. We are a small Grass Valley startup company who have been creating easy-to-use solutions for associations of all sizes, helping to get people get things done simply and with less frustration. As a Firewise leader myself to a small Firewise community in Grass Valley, I experienced firsthand how challenging it is to manage community data. Shared folders, random documents, stacked papers, organizing, let alone analyzing it, was nearly impossible. So this led us to create software service that we have, FireSmart Community Connect, a digital tool made for Firewise leaders by Firewise leaders. And we looked at three specific challenges that we heard time and time again after our conversations with other Firewise communities, with the NFPA and the national organizations. And the first one was the homeowner engagement. Participation starts with feedback. FireSmart gives every homeowner a risk assessment. And I've heard that conversation brought up several times here already this morning. Our assessment follows the Firewise guidelines. It's all of those home hardening, defensible space metrics that you've come to know and love. The end of it gives the homeowner a simple table that says these are the things that you could work on that would make a difference. So many things are out there, and a lot of times homeowners can be confused as to just what is going to really count. Homeowners can also track the work they can do. So this is something that, as a Firewise leader, you recognize that in November you have to ask people for work that they did in the spring. Well, we give the homeowner a chance to go ahead and track that in real time. whether it be clearing brush, help hardening, replacing vents, meetings, consultations. And that data flows directly to the community leader. So the leader doesn't have to ask for that information long after the fact. Planning and reporting. Again, your data is getting to be one of your most valuable tools. The work that the community is doing for certifications, for recertifications, renewals, for grant writing. FireSmart gives you some tools that'll help you get that. I can tell you right now how many hours, how much volume of materials, how many dollars were spent for the communities that we manage. Third is the leadership turnover. And we know as volunteers, leadership changes. FireSmart makes that handoff really easy. New leaders get instant visibility into the community status, the historical data, and the next steps. It preserves that momentum without having to start over again or get somebody back on track with what has happened in the past. What makes this product probably different in the space is that it's built from the ground up. It's built with real homeowner input. It's not really based on satellite data or historical data. It preserves an accurate picture of wildfire preparedness because it's coming from people who live it every day. It comes from the homeowner input. Better data means better outcomes, stronger grant applications, smarter planning. And as I said, your data is getting to be one of your most valuable tools. We demoed it for the Fire State Councils. We are really looking to create pilot programs across the county. And we want to help your communities live longer and be stronger. Happy to sit and talk to you, show you more of it after the meeting. And really appreciate an opportunity to just thanks for all you do.
Great, thank you, Mark. And if folks are at all interested, yeah, I think Mark and Son said they would be here. Folks want to chat with them off to the side individually. I know there's lots of things out there. Again, we're not endorsing anything, but these are great opportunities to network and see what's out there. Alice.
I'm really sorry, Patrick just left. I'm actually speaking not from the Fire State Council right now, but from the California Native Plant Society. And I wanted to just really thank Patrick for the maintenance because it's such an incredibly important part of the fuel breaks that doesn't get considered. And so people go in and destroy all this native plants and then it just grows back and they don't realize that it has to be maintained. So thank you, Patrick, for doing that. Tamara, I'm hoping that in future grants that kind of maintenance will be watched for, and RCD too. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. We'll make sure Pat. Chris.
I notice we're doing really good on time, but I'm going to use a 3-minute rule, which is essentially get everything out to you guys in 3 minutes. We talked about the budget earlier, and I wanted to give you a little perspective on the county's budget for people that don't know. I'm reading right out of the Legistar has items of on the agenda, and then there's attachment to those, and there's PowerPoints that are typically attached to the county's actions that they take related to the budget. They said in their last one that it only takes one public hearing required by law to adopt a budget, and it's government code 29,000. And then they said in their they originally had talked about having maybe 4, but they're going to have 12 public meetings. It started back in November. And there was in January, February, department presentations that lasted 3 days. In February 11th, there was board direction on discretionary transit occupancy tax. On the 11th of March, there was this board discussion of discretionary programs and contributions. April the 8th, budget direction and a presentation, which is where I got this. And then April the 22nd, a special budget presentation. June 10th will be the actual adoption of the budget. So there's a lot going on. When people say that the budget's not approved, but it has these things in it, that's true. Each board member, or excuse me, each board meeting, there's discussion. There could be changes, direction to staff in order to take a look at other things that may be counter to what they did originally present. And so I just wanted to let you know it's a long, evolved process, as Ken knows. and it takes time to work through everything. And that's my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any other public comment? All right. Sorry. Okay. Don't jinx it. Right, Dorothy's looking at the time. It's exactly 11:30. Great meeting, great sharing of information. So I'm going to confirm with Angel, but as we have a brown bag following this meeting. Angel, you want to say anything about the brown bag before we adjourn?
We'll have the brown bag in about 31 or 35 minutes. It is right here. And the topic is absentee homeowners or property owners. What does it say here? Oh, my glasses are right here. Sorry. Donations and working together are the topics. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you.
And clarification too is that I know we've had requests for now, we're not doing the brown bags virtually, we're just hosting those in-house, trying to really encourage the in-room interaction, potential that down the road, it may lend itself to online or virtual hybrid, but right now it's definitely, we'll be hosting the meeting right here. Oh, yeah, Paul, do you want to talk about green room social next week? I talked about that.
Got all of it. So, we don't have a chance to interact outside of this type of setting. So the green room has I think they call it cocktails and connections, on Wednesdays. And next Wednesday, which is the 23rd, I believe, from 5 to 8, it's just a gathering, that we want to have, fire safety councils, everyone here, your members, just have the opportunity to mingle, socially, and so I think they have happy hour prices. I think they'll have like 20 minutes, probably talking to Ken or somebody just to, on their stage. And again, it's just the opportunity to build community and have fire safety councils, to be able to interact in a much more informal setting. And so I encourage everyone to be there. I will be on the other side of the world, so I will be waving to you from the Cook Islands. So any questions on that? Green, 5 o'clock, 5 to 8, downtown Placerville in the green room. And again, it's that opportunity. We'll probably set up a table with some of our material. It's not only for fire safety councils. If people in the community that are not involved or have questions, again, it's an opportunity to interact and to build our fire safe communities.
What's the date again?
Wednesday,
April 23rd.
the 23rd.
Excellent.
Next Wednesday.
As soon as you finish the training here that evening, you go right down there and do that.
Yeah, that's how I arranged it. Any questions? We'll see you there virtually.
Thank you, Paul. We set that up and we skip tap right after. So great meeting, everyone. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Gotta go. Okay.
Oh.